Around about 6 months ago on the channel, in the summer months, we were posed the question because the 49ers definitely leaked something to their favourite journalists. Daniel Farke in or Daniel Farke out? This was a summer conversation that went on. It was very, very quick after Leeds United got promoted. And on the channel, we were all kind of in the grey. We were very much like, Daniel Farke, if it's based on a meritocracy, does he deserve a chance? I even said on the channel, maybe he does deserve a chance, but there was always that niggle in the back of my head, as you guys know, that I am in that grey zone when it comes to him, even with his success. Can he adapt? Is he making the right substitution? His press conferences can sometimes be a little bit misleading as well to information. There's a lot of things in my mind which I wasn't sure on Daniel Farke long-term for Leeds United. That appears to be coming to the fore right now when it comes to Farke and some of the same adaptation problems that we've seen again in the Premier League. We've seen a little bit of his information just come out on Sky Sports now that word verbatim, he said people were so happy, not word verbatim, but I'm paraphrasing here, but people were so happy after the West Ham game. Now we're doom and gloom after a loss. Well, it's no, Daniel, it's the context of losing 4 in 5 and you've had one of your easiest runs, if not the easiest run in your fixture calendar list, and you're effectively bottom of the form table. That's a failure on your part, mate. And once again, it comes to that relatability that we all like in life. Accountability. It's such an endearing attribute for anybody to have. If you've done something wrong, if you've been in a wrong circumstance when it comes to your choices, accountability. It makes you so much more relatable and so much more likeable as well. Daniel Farke has come out batting against it today again on Sky Sports News. If you haven't checked that out, I'm sure it's on your socials right now. But I wanted to go all the way back to the summer. Gabe did a fantastic video. I was going to upload it. I did upload it. It got a little bit of fan reaction, as did the Daily Mail post when it came to them looking at the shortlist, because Leeds fans, including myself to a certain extent, were talking about backing Daniel Farke, and it's a disgrace that there was a discussion. But now we're looking at it, and now we're looking at where we are in the table in terms of form, in terms of Daniel Farke has not adapted and showing the exact same traits that make him a championship manager. And unfortunately, we've all come to the conclusion, well, at least 90% of the one Leadsers anyway, that Daniel Farke is right now not fit for purpose in the Premier League. He's come out fighting, but this brilliant video by Gabe that he did around about in the summer, the questions once again are the exact same that we were posing in the summer, and this video is now extremely relevant right now. I want you to have a listen to it. I want you to have a look at it and listen to it, same thing. But take it all in is what I'm saying. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make it as well, guys. We'll be talking about managers and all that sort of stuff in this video. Take it out of context right now because these managers aren't available, but put your managerial choices in there. I put a video out a little bit earlier on, which I'll just put up here right now, which you guys can go look at after this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and take it away, Gabe.
Well, folks, because we're Leeds United, we can't just enjoy the elation of being promoted again. We have to bring ourselves down into the depths of doldrum. And that doldrum right now is the potential fate of our manager, Daniel Farke. Now, listen, before we wade into the debate, should we keep him? Should we let him go? I want to be very honest and remind everybody who tunes into this channel where my position is on Farke and where it has always been. Nearly 6 months ago, I posited the idea that the 49ers might be sacking Daniel Farke regardless of what happens this season, whether we go up or not, simply because it makes more sense to bring in a proven commodity into Premier League level than a recently promoted championship manager. Now, of course, that was met with some consternation amongst fans, and I understand why. We're a loyal group. Don't I know it? The only reason I'm accepted into this fan group, I think, is because I'm a former Leeds resident, and I experienced the culture firsthand. I'm eternally grateful for it. What I would say is this. There are reasons beyond whether you rate Daniel Farke or not in the Premier League, and there are lots of reasons to be skeptical of Farke, right? His track record in the Prem is not particularly good. His top league or his first division track record isn't particularly good either. Just look at his time in the Bundesliga. But what I would say to you is, why don't we just take Daniel Farke out of it for a minute? Let's just remove him as a manager, whether you like him or not. Let's engage simply with the idea of recently promoted managers and their success rate in the Premier League. Now, I went through some data that'll surprise all of you who know me. And I looked all the way back from last season to the 2018-2019 season. Okay, and every season, of course, 3 teams get promoted to automatic places and then 1 through the playoffs. And I looked at all these managers. And I went through and I color coded them on a spreadsheet. Stay with me here. I promise this is going somewhere. Based on their level of success. So 3 colors. Red is they'd be considered a failure. Either they were sacked immediately the next season or they fell into disgrace relatively fast after. Yellow is mixed success. Maybe they had a good first season and the second season wasn't so good, or they had a decent run, but ultimately the club went in another direction. And since then, they have another manager. And then green, which doesn't pop up very often, only twice actually, is that they're still at the club. And the club's still in the Premier League. So high level of success. I'm just going to give everybody a second here to guess. I know we're not doing this live, but I want people to guess what the success rate for recently promoted managers from the Championship into the Premier League is. Okay, I'm giving you the second. I'm going to flash it on the screen here. And I want to be clear. If whether you rate Daniel Farke or not, or let's just take Scotty Parker at Burnley, right? A lot of people rate him, a lot of people don't. Whether or not you have feelings about these managers personally, you have to admit that the data I'm about to show you is incredibly compelling. Now, this isn't like strange, abstract data that you pull out. It's like, are they still in the job? Were they successful? And here it is. I'm going to present right now. So here are the lists of managers, and this is the points total that they had in their promotion season, right? You see some really impressive stuff, and then you see some not so impressive stuff. Each one of these entries has context around it. Resources at the club, infrastructure, support from ownership, all sorts of stuff. So it's a different ecosystem, right? But one thing that you cannot debate is that the success rate, just managers we would call a success, they're still there, they're in the post. 16.7% of managers who presided over a promotion are actually successful in the Premier League. Less than 20%, barely over 15. Okay? That is incredibly low. Now let's look at moderate success. We're looking at 22.2%. Right? So that's 38.9% of good success and mixed success. That's not a good number, folks. The rate of failure is 61.1%. Right? So if you're an owner, whether it be of Leeds United, of Burnley, whatever club gets promoted, and you're looking at if you're venture capital funded or you're state funded or whatever the case may be, if you're oligarch funded, let's just take our own personal experiences out of this here. Well, nobody has personal experience. We don't have that kind of money. But let's take our own ownership out of it. And let's just talk about if you have a lot of money and you're going to spend 140 million plus perhaps on new signings this summer. You have to look, what's the track record for managers that have been given carte blanche or have been given any set of goods into the next level? Or what's their success just in general? It's not good. It's overwhelmingly poor. Now, in this modern Premier League era, where you have teams like Tottenham and Manchester United finishing like lower mid-table, not that far out of the relegation zone, it just goes to show you how serious money is in this league and how dog eat dog it is now. It's not just a matter of drawing some points away, playing long ball, and like it was in the mid-2000s. The game has changed fundamentally, and finance in the Premier League has changed. And we can argue until we're blue in the face about how that's bad for football. I agree that it is. This is the ecosystem that has been allowed to exist, and it continues to be perpetuated in the league. So if you're going to go to the Premier League, you're going to have to spend some money. Now, if you're looking at the success rate, if you keep your manager, it's only happened twice since 2018, 2019, where a manager that's won promotion is still in their job. We're looking at Silva, we're looking at Thomas Frank, right? Vincent Kompany had 101 points with Burnley. They went down the next season. Heckingbottom, 91 points, was sacked. Maresca is in the yellow because he guided Leicester to 97 points, and then he took another job. Looks like he's going to be sacked from that job, but it's hard to say that he was a failure at Leicester because he didn't stay, of course. But Leicester, of course, are coming down now. So it's a harsh, cruel world, right? It's unfair. Whether or not you rate these managers or not, you think they're good managers, the most dangerous step up in a manager's career, the most difficult thing to do is to take a club that was recently promoted and take that same manager into the next season. Because even if you count mixed success in with good success, right, you're still looking at a 61.1% failure rate. Now, if you're the 49ers and you're thinking, gosh, I'm going to throw a ton of money and we're going to recruit a ton of folks, and if I put all my eggs in the basket of this manager and who they want to bring in, it may be too late 10 games in if we sack him, because then the person coming in isn't going to want, it's going to be harder to get a top manager. It's going to be much more difficult because they're going to want to bring all their own folks in. So you're looking at another huge expenditure season over January. And if that doesn't work, you get relegated, you're in a PSR nightmare, right? That's just the way it is. So, I mean, think about this. If you want to talk about managers that were given support, Dean Smith was given over 140 million pounds, and then the next summer was given even more. Well, not even more, but given a ton more money. And ultimately, he wasn't successful at Aston Villa. Kept them up, did okay. Mixed success as a manager because they sacked him and brought in somebody like Unai Emery, who is a much better manager. Now, let's bring it back to Daniel Farke here, because Daniel Farke has a poor track record in the Premier League. You can talk about whether he was supported or not, and that's 100% valid. But the second promotion, he decided to spend, their big signing was who? Josh Sargent. That's who Daniel Farke decided, we're going to spend a lot of money on this player. Now, Josh Sargent is a very good championship player. I don't think he's a Premier League player at all. And some of the folks that we've been linked with, the rumor mill has kind of been spun that Daniel Farke wants to sign certain players. None of them are really Premier League quality guys. Remember that when you hire a manager, you're not just hiring that manager, but you're hiring the culture that manager creates. You're endorsing that. And then any sort of prestige that manager has and to attract players, you're tapping into that network as well. So there's a reason why people are floating around names like De Zerbi or Jose Mourinho. And I disagree with Connor, actually. I think that Mourinho is a realistic get, but not if we bring him in 5-10 games next season. Mourinho would be realistic if before the summer began, Leeds United went to him and said, listen, we're going to give you 100x million pounds, and you're going to be able to recruit players you want. And the goal is going to be Premier League stability and maybe a mid-table finish in 2 seasons. That's a different kettle of fish than the jobs Mourinho has taken recently, right? He's been hired and he's lost a bit of his shine and prestige. I understand that. But this is a guy that knows the Premier League, knows it in and out, would be able to get to know the players he has now, and would be able to bring in the players he wants on that money. If you give Daniel Farke 140 million, maybe he succeeds in the first season. Maybe he keeps them up. But I doubt it. I doubt it. His network isn't as strong. Leeds United is a massive club. And if you tell a top manager, listen, our goal is ultimately to be super successful for the first couple of years. We want stability, and you can restore one of the most prestigious clubs in British football to the pantheon that they deserve. And think about a guy like Mourinho. Biggest rival of Leeds United is Manchester United. What a revenge story for him. It's not that unrealistic. But if you're going to get a big name with a track record, it's not just about a name. It's about a track record as well. De Zerbi stepped into a Brighton team that everybody thought Graham Potter had made excellent. And he made them better, right? He made them better. And they did it through good recruitment. And his tactics have been were fantastic. And he's sort of fallen out with the people at Marseille. Now, the thing is, with big managers, big personalities, it's difficult, right? Farke has his own warts, but I think that he's at least a very calm persona. It would be difficult. But the data is there for everyone to see. If you you take away the Premier League failures and the relative failure in the Bundesliga for Farke, the data shows you that recently promoted managers fail much more than they succeed, even much more than they moderately succeed. It would be a massive risk for Leeds United to keep Daniel Farke, a massive risk. And this club is not going to risk hundreds of millions of pounds, because that's what it would amount to in terms of the stadium expansion, the commercial bids, the TV rights. I mean, you're talking a huge money here, not to mention the amount of money they'd be spending on players. To an unproven manager, and even if I'm wrong about Daniel Farke, because I don't particularly rate him outside the championship, I think he's a good guy for the job, that was at hand, but I think there are different tools for different trades. And I think that Farke should depart the club with his reputation really high and fans incredibly grateful for the contributions he's made. And honestly, if he's going to get another top job in the Premier League, then one of those clubs will go in for him. I have a feeling they won't, right? Because they understand the jump is hard. They understand that it's a different kettle of fish. For me, if you're Leeds United, you're not going to give Daniel Farke 140 million. You're not. You're not going to look at this data. You're not going to look at a 61% failure rate and less than a 20% success rate and not even a 35% middling sort of mixed success rate and say, we're going to keep the guy we have. Too much of a risk. And the reason you look now, it's ruthless. It's ruthless, 100%. But you're signaling to all the big managers. And remember, this is the Premier League. The Premier League is as big as it gets. The money here is as rich as it gets. So even though Leeds may not seem like a super attractive, it's not an attractive destination if the team's in the relegation zone already and there's no plan. There's a side that you're inheriting that you didn't pick yourself. But a side like Leeds, with the lore and the history and the fan base, we're talking about a hugely passionate and rabid fan base who will get behind a new manager, provided he gets behind them and does the right things and utilizes the resources he's given responsibly. It's a high-pressure job. You need a top guy to do it. You need a top manager to do it. And that prospect of coming in before the summer even begins to evaluate your current player pool, to sell players you want sold, and to take a war chest into the offseason to buy the players you want and that you can network to get, to bring them to come play for you at one of the biggest clubs in Britain, in Europe, and in the world. I think it's too big of an opportunity to pass up. And I think when you look at this data, there's no way you can look at it and say that it wouldn't be more risky than potentially rewarding. Because it is more risky than rewarding. Even the successful managers, Thomas Frank, Marco Silva, really good managers. Mid-table finishes, guys. You know, so even when you're successful, are you as successful as a group like the 49ers want to be, who are in the top 15 of ownership wealth in the entire footballing world? I don't mean top 15%. Top 15 as in numbers 1 through 15. I don't think so. I think that's the logic for sacking Daniel Farke. Is it fair? Probably not. Life isn't fair. But if you're about to go across a violent river, and that's what the Premier League is, it is a violent river. And you have a guide, and the guide says, well, you know, I've gone on this river a couple times, and each time I've been swept away, but I wasn't given the resources now. Now I have them. Versus a guide that says, hey, I've been in this river before, and I've done well. Who would you trust to get you across that river? You probably wouldn't go with a guy who's been unsuccessful. And statistically, the data shows won't be successful, or highly unlikely they'll be successful. That's Russian roulette. You're playing with fate. And it's a risk Leeds United, in my opinion, simply cannot take.